all very familiar with the stories of Gdolei Israel that were able to create humans, like the Maharal Miprag that created the Golem, as we call the Golem Miprag, in order to save the Jews that were harassed in his generation from different libels of the Goyim, that were bringing children, dead children, to town and claiming the Jews killed him. And he created such a golem to stand by the gate and make sure that nobody brings a dead child to town. That was the story of the Maharal Miprag. We have many of Gdolei Israel that either created a golem or attempt to create a golem. The Gra himself, as Rav Chaim Volozhiner testified, started to create a golem when he was a very small child, and then he stopped in the middle, he didn't continue. Chatam Sofer, as it says in the Sefer Zichron LeMoshe, that he said it's easy for him to create a golem, to create a human, as easy as he drinks and sipped water. That's how easy it is for Gdolei Israel. This is actually a Gemara in Sanhedrin Samechei Amud Bet, where Rava says that tzaddikim could create a world, not only humans, a world. Rava says, Ibai tzaddik baru alma, sheneemar ki avonotechem hayu mavdilim benechem uven elokechem, which means the only difference between HaKadosh Baruch Hu and the tzaddikim are the avonot. Otherwise, if they didn't have those avonot, they would be able to create the same things that HaKadosh Baruch Hu creates. HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave the tzaddikim the power to create the same world as he himself creates. And this is Rashi, open Rashi. Haim lo hayu bahem avonot en kan hevdel. If they would not have any of the sins, they would be able to create people, create the world. Beautiful. The Gemara says about Rava that he created a person, created a golem, and that golem was a living person. Just the only thing is he didn't have the ability to speak. He couldn't talk. So one day, one of the rabbis saw him, started talking to him, and he saw he doesn't respond. He understood that that's a golem. He told him that he should go back to the earth, which means he killed him at the spot. He's not a human, he doesn't deserve and he doesn't need to live. But we see from those stories that they were able to create human beings. And the question is, what's the purpose of creating a human being? We see that Avraham Avinu wrote a sefer called Sefer HaYetzirah, writes in there how a person is able to create a human being. That is Sefer HaYetzirah. How HaKadosh Baruch Hu created the world, how HaKadosh Baruch Hu created people, with what words, because everything that was created is created with the words of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and those words, if you know and understand what it says in that Sefer HaYetzirah of Avraham Avinu, you'll be able to do the same thing. And this is how the Rim Muscato in the Perush Tukuzari says. He says, נתן הקדוש ברוך הוא כוח לאותיות שאדם בורא מקרקע מגובלת וקוברה בקרקע ועושה עיגול וגלגול סביב לבריאה ואומר בכל היקף אלפא בטא, and with that he would be able to create a word, which means with the wording he'd be able to take some sand, put it together, say those words, and create a human being. That's how it says in Sefer HaYetzirah. And if he wants afterwards to make that human being stop living, what would he do? Say the same words backwards. And this is how the Yalkut Ruvani says about Ben Sirah, which was the child of Yirmiyah Hanavi, that one day he created a golem, he created a person. And when Yirmiyah came, he told him, what are you doing? My dear child, you're creating a people. That's not things that we should do. So he told him, okay, what should I do? I created it already. So Ben Sirah was responded by his father Yirmiyah, don't worry, you can let go of the creation, just say whatever you said to create it backwards and it will die. And the Shevet Israel explains that that is what the Pasuk in Yeshaya says, Hagidu otiyot le'achor v'neda ki Elokim atem af tetivu v'tareu, which means back then there were vicious people like mechashfim, magicians, and they created different things. So they told him, 1 minute, let's see, say the same words that you say to create that thing, and let's see if you say it backwards, would it keep on living or not? If it stops living, then we know you use the Shemot, you found what the Shemot are, what the Otiyot are, what the letters are to create such things, Saying them backwards, to stop living. If you say them backwards, and indeed it keeps on living, then we know ki Elokim atem. Then you have the powers like a God have. But since they would say the letters or the wording backwards, everything would stop living, then we know that it was not something of any power. Rather, they understood what it says in Sefer HaYetzirah. So it says in the Sefer HaYetzirah that Avraham Avinu, who wrote the Sefer HaYetzirah, testifies over there that כיוון שצפה אברהם אבינו עליו השלום והביט וראה וחקר והבין וחקק וחצה וצירף ויצר ועלתה בידו. אברהם אבינו understood and he did, and all kind of wording over here in that Sefer that Avraham Avinu wrote. But the Raavad writes and adds to that, צירף ועלתה בידו הבריאה, that Avraham Avinu was able to create people, because it says in the pasuk את הנפש אשר עשו בחרן, which means Avraham Avinu made a human being. את הנפש אשר עשו בחרן. Now, Rashi and the Midrash explains, what does it mean, asu? People aren't able to create people. So Rashi explains that it means that they brought them under Kanfei Shechina, brought them to the right religion, to believe in HaKadosh Baruch Hu, to understand and realize that there's a creator. But the Raavad says, no, that's not the meaning. The meaning over here is, it says in the Sefer Yetzirah, is that Avraham Avinu actually did create people. את הספר אשר עשו בחרן מלמד שנתעסק אברהם אבינו בצירוף אותיות and created with those letters a world. Now that is very interesting, and it's so practical that the Mishnah Berurah writes this halacha lema'aseh. He brings a question in Siman Nun Hey Sif Daled. If you have a person that was created from Sefer HaYetzirah, can you make him join a minyan? You have 9 people, you need a 10th one. If a person knows how to create such a person, he could create such a person. Now beautiful, you have a minyan. Is he mitztaref? Does he add to a minyan? Does he complete a minyan or not? Says the Mishnah Berurah that you should be me'ayen in different sfarim to see if it is. But the Minchat Asher, Rav Asher Weiss Shlita, writes that he doesn't understand why the Mishnah Berurah brings such a thing, where today nobody creates people. So what's the purpose of that? Mishnah Berurah is a posek halacha lema'aseh. So why did he do that? And he brings that he found the son of the Chafetz Chaim, Rav Aryeh Leib, asked him that very question. Why did you write this seif? What's the purpose of that? And Chafetz Chaim answered him this very strong answer, כדי לחזק תמימות האמונה בליבות בני אדם שידעו כי הייתה כזאת ואף בדורות האחרונים. Which means the reason I wrote it is to be מחזק the תמימות האמונה. People should know and believe that there is such a thing, that people have the ability to create people. Tzaddikim have the power to create a golem. That's a chizuk in the emunah. When you understand how far-reaching a tzaddik, a talmid chacham is, you get a chizuk in the emunah. You want to learn Torah, you want to respect the talmidei chachamim. And could be that that is the reason Avraham Avinu created people. Et hanefesh asher asu becharan. What's the purpose of that? Since Avraham Avinu's mission in life was to bring people tachat kanfei hashchina, as Rashi says, now how better can you do that than to show them the ability of a Talmid Chacham to create something so wonderful as a human being? And when a person sees that, right away it's mechazek tmimut ha'emunah, as lashon of the Chafetz Chaim. So with that, Avraham Avinu were able to bring people close to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And on that derive it says that this is the meaning of a nefesh asher asu becharan. Could be that that is the chizuk that we need today, says the Chafetz Chaim, and that is the reason he wrote it in his Sefer Mishnah Berurah, to give us that chizuk in emunah, in Talmidei Chachamim, in the Torah Kedosha, in HaKadosh Baruch Hu.